If you genuinely want true wealth and financial freedom, you are going to have to focus on developing a great capacity to endure uncertainty, continuing to look for a guarantee, continuing to wait until every little thing is in place, continuing to look at what other people are doing, and then seeing if that's a good move for you. All you are doing is burning time and energy. And all during that, you could have been making money or been making some mistakes rather quickly that would only lead you to your success much faster. This unique money advice you're getting today, I'm going to serve it to you straight, Tiff style, and it absolutely will change your life if you follow it. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. We're overdue for having a very direct and blunt conversation about money. And while some of what I'm going to say may come across, I don't know, harsh, you already know, even if you're new to the show, you came here from somewhere else, whether it was from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you came from somewhere where my heart is. And you always want to have a coach, quite frankly, friends, people in your life that are going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I don't know about you, but I am always so appreciative of even my therapist who will say things to me that, oof, it stings. I don't like it. I don't like kind of being called out. Maybe it's uncomfortable to go somewhere, but wouldn't you rather have someone do that than you wasting more time dancing around or hours and days and weeks and months and years going right when you really needed to go left? I know I would. And I spent many years going in the wrong direction, or as I like to say, like zigzagging. And a lot of you are zigzaggers where you will go one way for a while in starting something with your business or with a certain niche or going in a new direction with something or putting something out there. And then when you don't get that external validation that you want because it feels so uncomfortable and so uncertain, and then you get so in your head, then you zag, then you go the other way. And then the same thing happens and you just keep going in all these different directions. And you end up actually never really getting to any concrete destination. And then you say things like, nothing is working. I take 5 steps forward and then I take 7 steps back. What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Bottom line is you are not allowing yourself to sit in the dirty diaper period of acquiring wealth, of changing your money story, of building your business. My guess is you're a zigzagger in other areas of your life. Maybe it's with your health. Maybe it's with keeping your household in order. Maybe it's in working on mindset stuff or shifting habits of yours that you know aren't serving you. And you do this all or nothing thing. I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm excited, I'm passionate, I've got all the dopamine going, and I'm going, going, going. But as soon as you hit a pothole in that damn road, maybe you can get through one pothole, but then you get another, and then you get a detour, and then you're out because you have not developed a muscle for discomfort. Now, those of you who are my fellow trauma survivors, where you have had a lot of shit go down in your life, and it's all relative. I don't want anyone ever comparing like their story to mine or someone else's. It doesn't need it to be as dramatic as my story for it to be real and relevant. But I've noticed something in coaching more than 150,000 people worldwide at this point in all of my programs. By the way, my signature program that I only offer once a year, Selling with Soul, class of 2024, is officially open today for pre-launch sale to the public. Now, with that being said, at the time of this recording, it's already 83% sold out. I was literally shook when my brand director texted me. I had no pants on, which I think is so appropriate for me. And I'm in Palm Springs. I was getting ready in the morning, doing my like 17-step skincare routine. And I looked down on my phone because it buzzed, and she was giving me the number of how many people were already in less than 24 hours after we dropped it just inside our Make Bank group for the people who signed up and participated in 3 days to make bank, which were 5,800 of you. Amazing. People are more determined than ever, and shout out to you because you showed up and you want to change your money story. And you know what the percentage is? And this is not just for my stuff. This is typical across the board. About 13% of people, whether it's something that is they pay for or something that's free, if they pay a lower ticket price for it, and I know I'm calling you out, I've done it too. Only 13% of people showed up, followed through, prioritized watching all 3 days, whether it was live or on the replay, because obviously some people had jobby jobs and were in time zones where they were sleeping, and did the homework. Even though this is a $25,000 value free training, and they knew the replays were going to disappear. And this is just how people are wired. Even knowing and trusting me and seeing my receipts and seeing all the thousands of people who've been posting and shouting this out and talking about this and how great it is, and it's the greatest event of the year, and it's not happening for another year. Only 13% of that 5,800, 100% followed through. It blows my mind. And I've done shit like this too. Don't get me wrong, where you know you need to do something, you know something's for your greater good, you know it's going to help you, and then you don't do it. This is called self-sabotage. And if you are one of those people who didn't play all out in this and came up with a story and didn't prioritize it, and there was no excuse not to, because I gave access to the replays, there was literally no excuse. I want you not to shame or blame yourself, but ask yourself right now, why didn't I show up for myself? I'm saying I want to change my money story. I'm saying I want to make a crap ton of money online, leveraging my gifts, passions, talents, and skills. I want to take my business to the next level. I want to start a business. I want to quit my jobby job. I want to be able to have a lot of passive income and multiple revenue streams. I want to change the legacy and lifestyle for my family. You're saying you want that. And I believe you when you say that, because I used to say all this shit too. Well, not the legacy for my family part, because I don't have family, but the legacy for other people of what I can do to pay it forward. And why wouldn't your actions match what you're saying you want? That's out of integrity with yourself. It's a form of self-abandonment. Even if we take this self-sabotage word out of it, what self-sabotage is, it's self-abandonment. And just ask yourself, what, out of curiosity, what's going on here? Why would I have not prioritized something? And what did you put in its place? Binging Netflix, I don't know, reorganizing a sock drawer, told yourself you're too busy with the kids. I mean, you could have watched the replay in 10-minute segments. I know people who have 6 kids, 2 jobs who are on there. There's people who are the 24/7 caregivers to someone in their life, and they made a point of being on there. You got to get honest with yourself. And it's not cute when we have to get honest with ourselves. And quite frankly, it's usually not enough for us to be honest with ourselves. We need someone else who we respect and trust, where we're also humble and willing to hear what they have to say. And most people in your life, by the way, they won't say this shit to you. One, they might be kind of half checked out themselves and they're not very attuned or aware. Maybe they've not done this level of work. They're not very observant. They are people who dissociate regularly anyway. So they're not going to be able to see it. So either they're not capable, then you have people in your life who are not willing because they're people pleasers. They don't want to upset you. They don't want to go there. It's too much work. It's too uncomfortable to have these conversations. Maybe you get defensive and snippy and nasty. Maybe you break down and fall apart when there are hard conversations and things that are said to you. Maybe subconsciously you've only had people in your life that you've paid or people who are there in friendship, mentorship, whatever, who you've called in and you've attracted because they don't push you. It allows you to stay in your comfort zone, which is allowing you to continue settling. And you might not even be aware of it. How fun is that news? So, if you are someone who is committed to fully showing up and following through, and you genuinely want to change your money story for your business and for your life, there is no better move to make than selling with soul. Again, 83% sold out at the time of this recording, and it could be even sold out. We're just shocked. When I looked at that number, I went, oh my God, we're almost sold out in 48 hours, and this hasn't even been put out to the public yet. So what that tells me is you're fucking sick and tired of where you're at, and you're done with yourself, and you're in a space of surrender. I'm going to do whatever it takes because I can't live like this another 3 months, another 6 months, another year. And you've had that conversation with yourself where you know there's no one coming to save you. It's no one's responsibility except yours. You don't need to ask permission from a significant other, from a family member. If you want it, you want something in life, you've got to go grab it. You've got to figure out how to make it work. You've got to get credit cards. You've got to do PayPal credit. You got to get a business loan. You got to take odd jobs or some kind of a job in order to bring in money while you're continuing to grow your business. If you want to make it happen, you've got to show up and do that part. So you can swipe up. It's in the show notes to get into Selling with Soul. It's projectmewithtiffany.com/selling with soul. You get $1,000 off. You get a new Lux bonus, which is my TikTok playbook on monetizing your TikTok in less than 15 minutes a day. And you get, oh my God, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of bonuses, but everything is on the sign up page. Don't procrastinate on going there. And there's no money excuse because Coach Tiff over here is operating as the bank. And you can even get in for as low as $297 a month. I made payment plans that low for the pre-launch sale pricing so that this can't be an excuse. You can find a way to make that work, and you start bringing money in and you want to pay off your payments early. We allow that at ProjectME. A lot of programs don't allow that, so we're all for that. The reason I am able to be here today and even having a $250,000 day, that's not even including all of my passive income streams. That's not including my investment accounts. That's not including any of that. How did I get here? You want what I want. You want what I want. You want what I have. You also want what I want. I want some good shit in life. So you want that too. You have to be willing to sit in the messy middle period that I refer to as the dirty diaper. You cannot expect that you are going to get instant results in you starting to work out at the gym and actually feeding yourself nutritiously. You might have some early wins, right? But then there's going to be a whole period where you feel like you're doing all this damn work and your body isn't changing. And then all of a sudden, you look in the mirror one day and you're like, oh, I'm looking pretty snatched here, but not if you're zigzagging. Most people stop before they see the result because they have no tolerance for that middle period. I'm letting you know to expect that. Don't have an expectation it's not coming. I want to normalize that. I'm not any different. And by the way, even your favorite celebrities, music artists, athletes, they all had it too. Are there some anomalies in life where there's people who were raised with extreme wealth who've never really had to have discomfort? Yes. And I've actually coached some of these people. And you know what is sad? You can look at them and go, wow, how privileged, how lucky they are. They have rich parents. Their parents even still help them out. They have a rich husband. This person helps them out. Da 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 da. And I used to look at these people too and be envious when I was busting my ass, to pay all my own bills and had no backup plan. The backup plan was, Tiffany Carter. I'm not envious anymore. You want to know why? They do not have any capacity or tolerance for uncomfortable and uncertainty because everything has always been there. And I call it financial enabling. And I'm not even like, some of it is financial entanglement where the parents do this stuff on purpose. And I talk about this stuff on TikTok a lot. But then there is also just the nature of what they were born into. And I was trying to make a point. I'm finally looping back at it. And no, I'm not on a gummy. Someone said inside Make Bank, because I was like getting lots of feedback on that gummy episode, and everyone's wanting me to make it a regular series. So if you want that, you're going to need to let me know. Let me know here on ProjectME TV on YouTube. Type it in the comments below. You can DM me on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany. Let me know on TikTok at ProjectME with Tiffany. I don't want to be putting stuff out there that you guys don't want or aren't interested in. But someone said, what's funny, Tiff, is you actually sound the same as when you're on a gummy. And I go, that's really shows how unwell I really am. Where I was going with my fellow trauma survivors and people who've been through a lot of shit in life, who have experienced pain, who've experienced death, who have been sidewhacked multiple times, where the shit's hit the fan so many times, is you have naturally, and it's been forced upon you, to have a high tolerance for discomfort. you actually have somewhat of a tolerance for uncertainty. Only problem is if you're not working with the trauma and what that's created, you can be very controlling and not in faith and surrender and wanting to avoid future pain because you've already experienced so much. And I'm raising my hand because that's something I have to regularly be monitored on and worked with my coaches and therapists. I don't like uncertainty. Of course I want everything certain. My God, that would be amazing. But you know what? I wouldn't have experienced that moment in my Palm Springs bungalow with wearing a hoodie with no pants on, putting oils and potions on my face, looking down at that phone and seeing that number and having to pick up my phone and then texting Sam back going, is this real? And she goes, I had to check it 3 times myself. She's been with me pretty much since the beginning, ProjectME. And I went, oh my God, you do not get to experience the incredible abundance and the uncertainty in those experiences happening. There's beautiful uncertainty. There's beautiful unexpected things that happen. You don't get to have that if you don't build your tolerance for the uncomfortable uncertainty. You get what I'm saying? So you need to know that it's coming. But the people you look at and they're like, oh, well, they've got this, that, and the other. Easy for them to say. I did all that shit too. I know. I know. And when I'm in a Cuntosaurus mood, I can do some of that too, especially where I live. There's a lot of people with extreme wealth and a lot of women who've genuinely never worked a day in their life. I mean, but that's not true because a lot of them have raising children, which is a major job. I think that's actually the hardest job. But, you see them in their little tennis outfit and they're really not having to do shit. But I've also coached a ton of those people. A lot of them are trapped in their circumstances because they can't get out because they don't have their own money or they're afraid of who they're married to because that person has buried their money in such creative ways that they wouldn't really get much alimony or child support in order to sustain a lifestyle that they become accustomed to. So they end up settling and staying. And then there's a percentage of them who end up hiring me to be able to create their own money and take back control of their financial life. So I want to normalize for you. Expect failure, expect to be sidewalked, expect uncertainty. It's part of the deal. Just know it's coming. It's part of it. It's your rite of passage. Do you really think that you could go to learn how to snowboard and expect to not fall a million times? That would be strange, right? And if you're not willing to fall a bunch to learn how to snowboard, then don't fucking take a lesson. Then you can't. Anyone would tell you that. You want to learn how to surf and you don't want to get salt water up your nose and get banged around by the waves, then this isn't for you. And that's okay. When you know that failure is part of the deal, it's not so shocking and jarring. Believe me, it still sucks. Okay. We all want to have a magic wand and everything we touch turns to gold. We want that in every area of our lives, but it wouldn't make the success as sweet as it is. I had to be willing to do a live training where only 3 people showed up. I had to be willing to do that. My ego didn't like that. That didn't feel good. And it's like, I'm doing all this work and there's only 3 people here. What the hell? And these other people who I see out there who are in a similar industry as me, they don't even have the receipts I have. They're not even as charismatic as me. They da 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 da. And they're getting, hundreds of people, thousands of people. Like, what the hell? Don't think that those conversations didn't happen behind the scenes. When I had my Polly Pissy Pants moment after I would do that live, but then I show up and I do it again. You show up until it works. Do you really care? Let me ask you this straight up. Answer this question for me and for yourself. Would you be willing to give me a year of following my unique techniques that I teach inside Selling with Soul, step by step, implementing them, dealing with the uncertainty, the mind fuckery, continuing to show up, putting blinders on, implementing and then massaging it, implementing, not zigzagging, just keep going. Even though you're like, I feel like I'm walking around with my skin off. Would you be willing to commit to doing that for 1 year? Even if you are willing to give me the rest of this year. I mean, I don't know how we're already in March, but I'm sure you're not where you want to be. And it's March. Like you just lost 2 months. That's how fast time goes. Would you be willing to give me that and give yourself that? Even if 6 months in, it's like, oh, it looks like nothing's working, but I committed to that year, man. I committed. So I have to keep showing up. And even though I want to take my foot off the gas, I got to keep pushing my foot on the gas. I'm going to keep trusting it. I'm going to keep trusting it. It's uncomfortable. I have the support. I'm going to keep trusting it. Would you be willing to do that if you knew that is the exact fucking thing that is going to stack the odds so incredibly high in your favor? You honestly really can't fail. I mean, you will have little failures in between, but I mean, ultimate failure, that won't happen. You will reach your goal without a doubt doing that. Even if you're starting from scratch, I would feel confident conservatively you could get to $15,000 a month consistently if you're starting from scratch. If you're not starting from scratch and you're already bringing in some coin, would you be willing to do that? To double, to triple it? Or no? I'm giving a dramatic pause here. It can't be 3 months. It can't be 6 months. It can't be the 30 days. You've bought into all those programs and fantasy marketing and all of that stuff. And I'm not sitting here saying, so don't let your ego make up some lie. I'm not sitting here saying you have to sacrifice. And I'm telling you, you've got to go all in and do 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the opposite of what I teach. Remember, I have an entire money program called Make More, Work Less. But treating your business like a true business and not like a jobby, a time sucking and energy sucking and money sucking hobby. You're treating it like, even you treating it like a solid part-time job, like 24-hour, let's just say a 24-hour week. I'm treating it like a true part-time job. Like if I don't show up, I'm going to get fired, right? Like truly treating it like that. If your answer was yes, you're doing Selling with Soul. Period. End of story. Selling ProjectMeWithTiffany.com/selling with soul. Links in the description, links in the show notes. I don't know if there's any pre-launch sale pricing spots left at this point, but the page will let you know that when you go there. And if they're all gone, they're all gone. And I don't know what to tell you. This is your choice here right now to go, what am I going to do? What am I going to put action behind? And this comes to the second thing I want to say about this unique money advice. You have to put enough on the line to get yourself to show up and follow through. We all have different circumstances. Some people have health issues. Some people have mental health stuff like I do. Some people have kids are going through a divorce. They have a job. Everyone has stuff. Everybody. We all do. You might think yours is unique. It might be a little more rare, but I can promise you it's not totally unique. You have to set yourself up and put enough on the line to get yourself to show up and follow through. And that's different for everybody. But I can tell you this, I don't know anybody, and I know extreme type A, hardcore driven people. I just spoke at an event. It's a mastermind for high end, high producing female realtors. And so these are all those personality type go getters, all of that. And I won't like disclose the raw conversations that we had in there. They each have a bag of shit. I mean, I'm talking life. There are some Lifetime movie stories that were in there, right? There are people who were raised in a trailer park. There's people who had a heroin addiction. There were people who were strippers. I mean, all sorts of stuff. But what did they do to get to where they're at in a profession that no one can argue with me isn't highly, highly saturated and competitive? And all of them are in highly competitive markets. It's not like they're the only realtor in town. Okay. They're in like Scottsdale, like these kinds of areas. It's because they put enough on the line to get themselves to show up. They invested a lot of money to be in that mastermind and to have that kind of coaching. They want the lifestyle that they desire for themselves and their family, and they refuse to settle for anything less. And they do things to get themselves to show up and follow through. What is that going to be for you? A lot of people aren't willing to get uncomfortable and put money on credit cards like I did to start my first business. At some point, you got to bet on yourself. If you really want to make that level of cash, it wasn't going to happen me working for someone else. And I don't put anyone down who enjoys working for someone else. I have people who work for me. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. You've got to be a little crazy to want to have your own business. Maybe you want to simply have additional income streams while working for someone else. That's also great. That's also something that I teach. But what are you willing to put on the line in order to show up and stop talking about it, dreaming about it, wishing about it, thinking about it, obsessing about it, analyzing about it, and actually doing it consistently over and over and over again in order to get the results? For me, I have to put money on the line. Now, when I was making $17,000 a year, the amount of money I had to put on the line for things was obviously a much lower dollar amount than it is now. So it's all relative. But I would say paying someone, I mean, I put even for I have a product coming out, my first ever physical, tangible product you'll be able to buy. We're going to put it on Amazon, TikTok shop. Very exciting, but also terrifying for me. Anything in print, if you've listened to the show long enough, I have all the resistance with the book and all this stuff. I would say I have about 5-6 grand on the line right now, and it's only going to increase for that. Right. And that for me is enough. It's not just that, it's that I've also shared publicly several times that I have a product coming out. So I would never want to say that and then not put it out, because I'd be embarrassed, and that's out of integrity. I have people on my team who I greatly respect, and I value their time. Even though I'm paying them, I value their time. And that wouldn't feel good for me as a leader, to have the people who work for me and support me to go, oh, well, Tiff said she was going to do this and now she's blowing it off. That's good. That's not hot. That's not happening. So what do you need to put on the line? It needs to be enough where you're like, I can't fucking lose this. I'm working with someone where I'd be embarrassed to not show up. Even on my worst days where I don't want to, I'm going to show up because I respect this person enough and I don't want to waste this money. What is it? And you've got to determine that. And that's what I would say about like selling with soul. When you look at that, there's three different payment options. Obviously, the pay in full, you save the most money and you get extra pay in full bonuses. You get like our Lux Abundance box that we ship directly to your house. And yes, we'll ship it anywhere in the world that you are. Some people are like, but I live in Greece. It's like, believe me, we've paid a shit ton of money for shipping to send your ass an abundance box in Greece. So, and there's so much more that you get in there. But the reason we did three payment plans wasn't just so we could take away the money noise for people. It's also because I know different people need to put different things on the line. Like I've had people who work with me privately where they'll pay for my 2-month private business coaching program. They want to pay 2 months all up front. And I don't require the 2 months all up front, but they want to because they know that is what is going to motivate them to show up and follow through. I can't make you do that. You have to make yourself do that. So, in any area of your life, your health, your relationship, if you want to be better about doing certain habits and behaviors, what are you doing to put so much on the line that it would be more uncomfortable now for you to not do it? Boom, bang, done. So now this one's going to shook with you because it's going to be the opposite of what your brain tells you. If someone told me this shit, I would say for sure, well before I started Project Me with Tiffany Carter, which I started the podcast 5 years ago, I would say in my let's just say 10 years ago. If someone told me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, this person's full of shit. They obviously have someone who's bankrolling them. They don't understand my life. I would have been in such resistance to hearing this. But I can tell you, it's facts. You have to plan time to do nothing. And this is not work-life balance talk over here. What do I mean by that? Part of your business and marketing plan, your money making plan, I will require you to plan time to do nothing. This is the opposite of what I would say most all of us have been programmed to believe. You've got to sacrifice. The harder you work, the more you make. The only way to get success is by outworking people. Early bird catches the worm. All this, it's all shit. Okay. It's all bullshit programming that served the agenda of either people who you grew up with, the companies that you've worked for. If you really peel it back, you can see how it served other people's agenda. Okay. Planning time to do nothing is an imperative part of my money growth plan. Period. End of story. And it's for sure on a weekly basis, several times a week. And your brain's going to go, you don't have kids, Tiffany, and you have all this money. I might not have kids. Like I said, everyone's circumstances are different. But if you really understood, and I know some of you do, the depths of complex PTSD, depression, and anxiety, and what it takes to manage the symptoms, the triggers, and this brain of mine, even after having 1,000 years of therapy, you would tilt your head with respect to me. Okay. I have other responsibilities that also you're not aware of because we don't have to share every single thing here on social media and on podcasts, even though I share a lot, right? There's some things that I can't share that would not benefit me or go well. So doing nothing, what does that look like? Because a lot of you want to fill your space all the time with something, with tasks, with chores. If I'm not doing something, if I'm not being productive, then that must mean I'm being lazy, or then it's going to even be less of a chance that I'm going to be making money. I'm not saying for you to just be a lazy ass. I'm saying for you to build it in. I want you to build in free brain time. Nothing can be you going for a walk. That can be nothing. You taking a bath, you doing mundane chores, as I like to say, like I call them dum dum tasks, like things that you don't have to think about that are autopilot for you. Maybe that's cleaning, maybe that's laundry. For some of you, I know that's cooking, but you need to have uninterrupted time and set that boundary. Maybe it's you walking around Target early in the morning. I will go, as my ProjectME Posse business coaching members know, I will go on Fridays. I take myself on a date and I put in my earbuds, even though I don't have anything playing, because it helps drown out any of the noise from my favorite cafe. And I sit there. Sometimes I grab like the local Beach Reporter paper or the real estate. There's a real estate magazine to see all the new, mansions and stuff. Those are fun to look at. I'll just people watch, eavesdrop, eat my $40 salad, just allow myself to just free think. This is when your best ideas come up. This is when you allow your brain to rest. This is also when your shit comes up, which is why you're likely avoiding this. In the stillness and in the quiet and in the undistracted, in the uninterrupted, is when all the stuff that you've been avoiding, dissociating from, stuffing in a junk drawer, pushing down, that's when it surfaces, which is why you avoid doing it. And if you don't allow it to come up and out, it is going to continue to have a grip on you and it will absolutely repel all the abundance you want. I have a million different examples from my own life and from other people who I've coached where I mean, go listen to the episode where I had $1 million in the bank by the time I was 30. And then in 3 months, almost all of it was gone. My first business that I still have, my digital marketing firm that specializes in working in the health sector, so pharmaceutical, medical, health supplements. It's an 8-figure business. I was following suit with the belief that I was programmed to believe that you had to work your ass off to have great wealth. And so I did. I was literally told you have to damn near kill yourself to be successful, especially a woman in a man's world. My mom said that over and over again. And I observed her doing it. She's an entrepreneur. So I followed suit. I never even thought to question my beliefs, which is fascinating. Never even crossed my mind. Now I question every one of my beliefs, dissect them. Is that even fucking true? Or is it just something I inherited and then I've just been fucking going with it like a goddamn sheep? I'm not interested in being a sheep, but I was for a lot of my life. I'm not blaming myself. It's how a lot of us were programmed, especially those of us who live in the US, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other countries. I know it happens in Canada for sure. So about 7 years into my first business, from me never giving myself quiet time, stillness, continuing to avoid looking at stuff, always filling any empty space, doing, never being, doing, I almost died. And I had to take that business down by 90%. I had to let clients go that I was making $300,000 plus on a year. Okay. I had no choice because I wouldn't have been able, I couldn't run my company. I was that sick. I burned out my entire adrenal system. I couldn't even shower standing up. And that's what I mean is on the outside, up until that point, you could have been like, Tiff's a baller. Look at all the money she's making. Look at what she's built. But then I got punched in the face with the cost. And some of you have experienced that, and some of you have that punch coming. And I'm trying to warn you of that. and continuing to avoid being in the stillness and being in the quiet so that you can feel your stuff, allow the stuff to come up, and it's uncomfortable and it's painful. And I don't recommend doing it alone. You will never get to where you want to go. You will never have true freedom. You will continue to be trapped by it. It will haunt you for life. I told you this episode was going to be direct because if I heard someone like me who I trusted and I knew had been through it and who was saying it with love, be this direct with me, it would have woken my ass up. And so I'm hoping I'm doing that for some of you. I need you to commit today to planning time to doing nothing. That's part of your business plan. This is what I mean by when people are like, well, I don't know about selling with soul. I know it's 5 weeks. But then Tiffany's saying, if I'm not willing to really dedicate a year to continuing to show up regardless for my business, but then, oh my God, how am I going to do that? I have so much going on. I have this and that. Well, you're not having to wait a year for the money to start coming in. It's the mentality and your energy. When you know you've got it, like when you know you're determined to learn how to snowboard, or you have your kid, or you have a friend who wants to, you're going to have to fall down enough times, but then you're going to get it. Then you're going to experience it. Then you're going to have the joy of, shredding down the mountain. So you've got to be willing to show up regardless and do these things. And the payoff, you don't have to wait a year, just like you wouldn't have to wait a year, to be able to get down a certain level mountain with snowboarding. But the mentality, when you know that you're really in it and you're that serious and you're that committed and you're that dedicated, that's what puts you in the abundance zone. And that's what makes it all happen faster. Not when you're in that zigzag period of, oh, it's like a contingency plan. I'll only show up as long as this happens. Okay, well, I'll do this. Oh, this didn't happen and this many people didn't sign up. I'm out. Then not worth my time. Oh, I'm over here and I did this, and oh, no one's listening to my podcast, or I'm not getting any views, and I've tried all the things. I'm out. Is that abundance? Think of any person that you know who's a public figure that's successful. Any of the people in the Shark Tank, for example. Do you think they're zigzaggers? Even if they're multi-passionate. Mark Cuban's a billionaire. He's multi-passionate. You can absolutely be a multi-passionate. You just can't be a zigzagger, and you've got to be committed and determined. And I will show you the how, the clear, simple, straightforward steps. This is actually simple. What's not easy is the mental game, which is why I always make sure that we have a container for support for that. An honest, genuine, safe container. You have to have that because that's what makes people spiral and quit. It's not for having a lack of the clear steps and direction. I give that all day long. I have 100% conviction in that. I know that that works. And there's so much proof out there that what I teach works. It's managing what's going on in this brain of yours and you being in a point where you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I get it. I'm scared. I'm terrified. It's uncomfortable. I don't know what to expect. I have to be in full faith and surrender, but I also do not want to continue settling for this life. Even though I have some things that are nice and things that I'm appreciative of and grateful of, it's not where I'm supposed to be. It's not where I want to be. And I'm committed. I'm committed to doing what it takes to have what it is I desire and I deserve. And I would be honored and privileged to take you through that. So just remember, at the time of this recording, it's 83% sold out for the pre-launch sale where you're getting $1,000 off. I do not run this program again this year. It will not be offered again until 2025. So That's not a gimmick, I say. That's facts. You can go look back through my social media posts every year around this time, and you will see it's only offered once a year, just like Make Bank is only offered once a year. You make that decision. I love you regardless, but I want to see you having what you want in life. And I'm willing to say to you what it is you need to hear to get there versus just telling you the feel good fantasy stuff. I'd make a shit ton more money if I just told you that. But that's not what a rich bestie does. That's not how we roll around here. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.